Hello, relatives. Want to welcome you back to the Sisterhood Reads edition. We left off on chapter 9. Suzy. Suzy lived in the same apartment her whole life. My mom and dad were both Purepecha from Michoacan, Mexico. My mom, Lisa, was born in San Diego, California. Her parents moved to California 4 months before Lisa was born. They relocated to Pacoima when Lisa was 12. My dad, Hector, was born in Colima, Mexico. He moved from Colima to Arizona when he was 6. He moved to North Hollywood, California for work when he was 16. My dad met my mom at her job. She was waiting tables at a Mexican restaurant. When he met my mom, the diner she worked at suddenly became my dad's favorite restaurant. Hector worked in construction for a man named James until he, my dad, died. Our dad overdosed on heroin when Suzy was just 4 months old. I was 11 years old. I found my dad lifeless on the kitchen floor. I was angry with him. I hated him for being selfish and leaving us. I thought Suzy was lucky because she wouldn't have any memories of our dad. I was wrong. She hurt because she knew that every child was supposed to have a father. I was very protective of Suzy. Aside from missing a father she never knew, she was a happy child. She was always laughing. Moms and I loved her and spoiled the shit out of her as much as we could afford to. Suzy was 6 years old when I died. I stuck around a little while after I passed away, but I have responsibilities I have to tend to here. I watched Suzy grow distant from a lot of her friends, and worst of all, my mom. Suzy didn't know how to handle my death. She had her good and bad days. Sometimes she was so bad that she lashed out on my mom or her friends. Both my mom and Suzy spent a lot of nights crying themselves to sleep. My mom often felt like she lost her husband, son, and daughter. When she was 9, my abuelita from my mom's side went to live with my mom and Suzy. Suzy loved my abuelita's stories and her cooking. Abuelita taught Suzy how to cook and make tortillas. 4 years after moving in, Abuelita passed away naturally in her sleep at the age of 87. Abuelita's passing devastated Suzy. When she was 13, I dropped a book in front of Suzy at the Pacoima library. Suzy stopped in her tracks, a little weirded out that the book fell at her feet when no one was around to push it. She picked up the book and read the back cover. It was a self-help book that also talked about dealing with death. Suzy decided to check the book out and read it. She read the book cover to cover 3 times before returning it. The book opened Suzy's eyes and changed her life. Suzy had a better understanding of life, including its tragedies. She began to grab control of her life from there on out. Suzy began to love more openly, starting with herself. Reading the self-help book led to her learning more about her inner spirituality, which eventually led her to the laws of the universe. She became intrigued by the way that the universe worked. She studied the 12 laws of the universe thoroughly. Suzy would sit outside and talk for hours with Isela and sometimes Lori and or Gabby, who all had open minds about things like spirituality and the laws of the universe. Isela and Gabby helped Suzy work through childhood and ancestral genetic traumas. Suzy started putting the universe to work for her. She wrote motivating mantras that read things like, "You are divine energy with the ability to vibrate on a loving frequency. Share your frequency with all those you cross." And "Today is a fresh blank canvas. Paint the picture you would like to see." She posted these all over the walls in her bedroom and bathroom. When she was 14, Suzy kept a notebook with notes in it, which she tried to read every morning before starting her day. The notes read, "I respect the law of divine oneness. I am a product of my thoughts, words, and actions. I understand that my thoughts, words, and actions can directly affect me, those I love, and the universe as a whole because we are all interconnected through the divine web of life. I respect the law of vibration. I understand that energy is an infinite source. Frequencies surround us on a constant. Vibrating on a high, loving frequency is a choice. Vibrating on a low energy frequency is also a choice. I understand that vibrating on a high frequency will lead me toward a more productive and fulfilled life. I will attempt to walk in love today as I tune into the higher vibrating frequency. I respect the law of correspondence. I understand that the habits and ideas that I fall into now will carry into tomorrow. If I realize habits or thoughts that I want to change, I will take action to change them now, as I understand that these habits have a direct effect on me, those I love, and the universe. I respect the law of attraction. I understand that like attracts like. If I think, act, and feel positive, I will attract positive experiences, ideas, and feelings towards myself. If I choose to think, act, and feel negative, I will attract negative experiences, ideas, and feelings towards myself. Today, I will think positive and loving thoughts. Therefore, I will attract positive and loving experiences. I further understand that life is a balance of good and bad. In this case, it is about how I choose to perceive experiences that determine them to be negative or positive. In hardship, I will seek the lesson in the experience. I respect the law of inspired action. I understand that it is my responsibility to take action in meeting my goals, big or little. When setting goals, I will set small goals to reach the heights of the bigger goal. Today, I choose to work out, eat healthily, and read a book. I understand that these small steps will help me reach my ultimate goal of health and intelligence. Every day, I will set goals and take action to achieve them. I respect the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. I will talk lovingly to myself and everyone around me. I will encourage myself and those around me to be our best selves. I understand that the way I perceive myself and the universe around me will affect how others perceive me. I know that my body contains water and energy, both of which are capable of transmuting. I am what I believe I am. I am beautiful inside and out. I am healthy inside and out. I am loved inside and out. I respect the law of cause and effect. I understand that every cause has an effect. I understand that every effect will become the cause of something else. I understand that the universe is always in motion. What I do today will have an impact on my future and the future of others. I choose to think about my actions before making a move. I choose to be a positive impact on myself and others. I respect the law of compensation. I understand that I am compensated in direct proportion to what I put into the universe. If I put blessings into the universe, I will receive blessings. If I put pain and hate into the universe, I will receive pain and hate. I choose to put love and blessings into the universe. Today, I will do good deeds. Today, I will receive blessings. I am grateful for my blessings. I respect the law of relativity. All things are relative. It is in the comparing and creating meaning that I can determine anything good, bad, hot, cold, etc. Today, I will practice non-judgment. I will not compare myself to others, be it body image or material possessions. I will try to let everything and everyone just be. I respect the law of polarity. I understand that everything has an opposite. Because I know what it is to suffer through the loss of loved ones. I know what it is to appreciate the life I have. Because I know what it is to have hard days. I can appreciate it that much more when I have good days. Which end of the spectrum I dwell in is my choice. As I overcome all obstacles and situations, I acknowledge that I will be learning and growing every step of the way. I respect the law of rhythm. I understand that everything vibrates to certain rhythms. These rhythms include the seasons in nature, stages of life patterns, and love, as everything moves in cycles, like a pendulum. The energy of the universe is continually moving. When something moves far to the right, it will eventually swing back to the far left. Sometimes I will experience amazing things. Other times I will experience devastating things. Regardless of my experiences, I will attempt to be open-minded to the fact that nothing is constant in life. I respect the law of gender. I understand that there are two significant types of energy, one example being masculine and the other being feminine. I understand that I contain a certain amount of both energies. I must learn to balance these energies within me. These laws all correlate. These laws each affect me whether I recognize it or not. I am grateful for everything I have and everything I am. I am grateful for my blessings of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. The life that I exist in is beautiful. Sometimes on the days that Suzy skipped reading these notes, she would notice herself being a little sluggish. The days that she read them, she rolled out of bed and onto the floor. Suzy did a minimum of 50 push-ups, 50 tricep dips, 100 backwards crunches, and a minute of planking on the floor. By the age of 15, Suzy had a routine of working out every morning. When she first began to work out, she started with calisthenics exercises because that was all she knew. Soon, Suzy learned about weightlifting, adding it to her regimen. Every Saturday, she jogged to the park. There, Suzy jogged 4 miles, then jogged back home and stretched. Sometimes one or a few of the girls would join her. Suzy's relationship with moms finally came into existence, and it was healthy. For her 16th birthday, moms got Suzy a gym membership and threw her a party at my Uncle Sal's house. They hired a DJ for music. They served rice, beans, potato salad, green salad loaded with vegetables, and marinated grilled chicken for dinner. My family and all of my sister's friends were there to help her celebrate. Moms bought Suzy a carrot cake. They sang happy birthday and Suzy blew out the candles. My mom explained herself by saying, "My daughter likes to eat healthy, so we decided a carrot cake was healthier because it had a vegetable." Everyone laughed. As she laughed, Suzy rolled her eyes and shook her head side to side. Suzy began to hit the gym up every day, either at 5 in the morning or in the evening. She felt great as she took good care of herself, from her golden toned brown skin and long wavy brown hair to the healthy food and the way she dressed. Suzy took pride in her appearance and it showed. She turned heads everywhere she went. People stared at her often. Although sometimes it was awkward the way some people stared, she would usually smile and say hello. People, including kids, would ask Suzy if she was famous or a model. Because she heard it so much from strangers, friends, and family, Suzy would eventually entertain the idea of modeling. When she was 16, Suzy's first taste of modeling was for the clothing store that Isela ran. Suzy posed in some of their t-shirts. The images were converted into posters and hung in the window and on the store's walls. When Isela would sell her shirts and bandanas at lowrider shows, she brought Suzy's posters. Some days, Isela would bring Suzy to model the clothing. Suzy would pose for pictures with the cars as well as people. Often people asked Suzy to sign their posters. Suzy became published in 4 magazine issues from these shows. The older Suzy got, the better life seemed to get for her as well. Of course, she had some bad days in life, including her share of breakups and funerals. Still, she was able to evaluate and get through everything that she faced with a deeper understanding. Thank you for tuning in. Sisterhood can be found on my website. If you want an autographed book, you can hit up www.jessicadron.com, hit the Sisterhood tab, and you can see the different ways that you can support. I will catch you on the next one.